Let's check it out. And the lick is going to sound like this. Tonic expanded 1 scale. You could always find it by your 3rd finger on the root note low E string. We're going to play this in the key of A. So we would find it by putting our 3rd finger on the low E string on the 5th fret. That's the A note. If we want to play it in G, we would start it by our 3rd finger on the 3rd fret on the low E string, the G note. If we want to play it in C, go up to that C note, 8th fret with your 3rd finger on the low E string. But we're going to do it in A. So let me play the scale for you slow, and then I'll also write it out in text for you on the screen. It'll look like this. Blue note, the flat 5, the E flat. So here it is so far. And that 1st finger shift is really important because it'll give you all those cool licks that you could play. And then 5th and 7th frets on the G and the A notes on the D string. And then 1st and 3rd fingers on the G string on 5th and 7th frets. And then we're going to do a little shift up with our 1st finger. So that looks like on the G string, because that sets you up nicely for the rest of the scale. And there's that blue note again, that E flat note. Note where those are. So it's a 1, 3, 1, 2 fingering, 5, 7, 8, 9th fret on the G string, and then on the B string you have the 8th and 10th frets, and then 8 and 10 on the high E, and then 11 on the high E. That's our blue note again, that E flat. Always note where your root notes are. There's 3 of them in this scale. 3 A notes. And the E flat notes, the blue notes, the flat 5, 3 of those. Always know where they are. Now when you're descending the scale, I like doing that 3, 2, 1 on the 9th, 8th, and 7th frets. Just makes for a lot cleaner. So here it is again. Practice it. Up and back. And just get real fluid with it. Get, pieces at a time. And then you'll start hearing all the licks. Get those root notes drilled in, because you're going to be resolving so many licks on those root notes. So using that scale as building blocks, here's that lick. I'll do it real slow. All right, so let's break that down into like 2 or 3 different parts. Here's the first one. The first thing I'm doing is I'm raking across the G and the B strings, and I'm playing that root note. But I'm not playing the notes on the B and G strings. You just kind of mute it, and you get that, it's a rake. So I'm playing A note, 5th fret, high E string. So you get that rake sound. And then on the high E string we're going to stay, and I'm playing the 7th, 8th, 7th, and 1st fret again. You're probably saying, well, this note, David Taub, is not in that minor pentatonic blues scale, and it's not, but that's a great note to add. These little notes that you can add here and there, that's the 9th or the B note. That's 2nd, that 9th, and that's a killer note to add. It works. It's in the Dorian mode and in the Aeolian mode, and it works most of the time when you're using minor pentatonic, so you could throw it in there for some added color. And then I just do a hammer from the 5th to the 7th fret, and then pull off back to the 5th fret. Hit that twice, so real slow you get this over. And then I just hit that A note a couple times, and then I slide up to the same note, the A note, on the 10th fret of the B string. Same note, they have a little different tone because the thickness of the string. And that's called, I'm going from the 1 to the 1. That's a technique used by a lot of blues guitar players. You'll hear it a lot in the playings of like Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, B.B. King. So you want to get real good at going from that 1 on the high E string 5th fret and just slide with that 2nd finger to that 10th fret on the B string. So here's that lick slow. A little faster. Here's the next part of the lick slow. Okay, so I'm up here in that next part of that expanded scale in this little mini box. And what I'm doing is again, I'm raking across the strings and I'm playing that flat 3rd, that C note, 8th fret on the high E string to the 10th fret on the high E string, and then I'm bending that note up to the 11th fret to the blue note. And then when I pull it off, when I come down. So it's like bend it up, let it down, pull off. And then what I'm doing, I'm not really even picking it again. I'm playing that lick, which is pull-offs and hammers. So just go on the high E string, 8th fret, hammer to 10th fret, hammer to 11th fret, pull off the 10th fret, pull off. One pick, so it sounds like this. So here's that lick so far. And then I'm going from that A note again, B string on the 10th fret, back to that flat 3rd, that C note, 8th fret on the high E string, and then pulling off from the B string from that 10th fret to the 8th fret. And then I'm playing this cool little double stop here. Very common in the blues, where I'm playing 2 notes together, or a double stop, 9th fret on the G string, 8th fret on the B string, and I'm playing them together. There are a lot of guys do that, especially like sliding up a half step. It's a really cool lick. So far we got... So after that pull off, get to that double stop, and then I do this descending chromatic movement through the blue note. So that's just and that's just going right down the blues scale, 9, 8, 7th fret on the G string to that 5th fret on the G string. And then what I do is I give that a little jerk the chain on the 5th fret of the G string. With the first finger, bending it, pull it down. That's a little technique I like, bending this flat 3rd, that C note, bending that to the major 3rd. And it works in this minor pentatonic scale. It sounds really cool. So you get this kind of sound. So all together, if we play everything slow, you should have this so far. And then the rest of the lick will sound like this. So all I'm doing is there, coming off 7th, 5th fret. So you're just kind of descending right down that blues scale. 7th fret, 5th fret on the D string, and then 7, 6, 5, getting that blue note on the A string. And then I do 5 again with a hammer and pull. Hammer 6, pull to 5th. So you get this. And then I slide. So you get this kind of... Very Stevie Ray Vaughan-ish, where he would kind of hammer quickly off of that blue note. Very Stevie Ray Vaughan-ish. So after you do that hammer and pull, slide to that 3rd fret, flat 3rd. You can even bend it a little bit. Same one we're doing here. To the 5th fret low E string, that's our root note, and then I go back to that flat 3rd, and this time slide up, 5th fret, back to the 3rd fret, so you kind of get something like this. Give that A note twice, but notice the different sounds you get through sliding as opposed to, or hammering. So all these little techniques really add up to differences in tone and tonal qualities, and you should really add these all to your bag of tricks, that flat third to major third bend, you know? Doing it here. You can do it up here. You know, adding that blue note. Right? Doing the rakes. Adding the ninth. Right? All those things, doing the hammers and pulls. The double stops. And they all make for real interesting things that you do when you take the notes and do musically interesting things with them. So, real slow. Vary that lick in so many ways. So practice. You know, you could do so many different things. Maybe learn the lick as just a framework and then vary it, you know? You could bend that ninth up to the flat third, or that B up to the C. Instead of going up here, I just kind of stayed with it. So take pieces of it, make it your own. You could do that a couple times, add that slide. Repeat part of the lick. There's just a few ideas. Add those little techniques to your laundry list. So much you could do. It's endless. Remember, you know, to learn from the lick. I just don't like showing a lick and then just leaving it at that. You know, you want to learn all the little things I'm doing to this lick that makes it interesting. And also, you know, vary it a little bit. Kind of make it your own. I'll start to show you little variations of it, how you could take one lick and make it into 50 licks. And be sure and practice all those little techniques that I showed you when you were playing that scale, like adding the ninth, or bending that flat third to the major third, or doing pull-offs or hammer-ons, or using slides instead of just going from the fretted note to fretted note, but sliding. All those things are going to add variation and interest to your playing, and you want to build up a laundry list of those things you could do. Bending the notes in pitch, and different ways of hammering them, and different sequences and different rhythms, and a flat to major third bend, then add the ninth, and then you start coming up with really interesting combinations. You just don't want to play the scale all the way down, all the way back up. You want to stop along the way, and eventually it'll start to kick off different melodies in your head, and you'll start singing the notes, right, and singing melodies with them. And that's kind of where you want to get, where you could kind of take these notes and do interesting things with them as you're using the scale as building blocks, right? And if you have some time, go to our website, nextlevelguitar.com.